sometime in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I got the year right. So I bought a 407 V6 for a client. Um, Actually went with the client for the inspection and made the purchase and drove the car back to Abuja. Was the one driving. Um, by the time I arrived Abuja, or we arrived Abuja, the gearbox packed up. Because remember, 407 V6 Saloon has only automatic transmission, which is AMC. So the gearbox failed somewhere around Zuba, immediately after Zuba. Luckily we were almost close to Abuja, so the gearbox packed up. So we were able to manage and get the car to the client's house. Then, so the client now decided to change both the engine and the gearbox. The intention was to change the gearbox, but because it was very cheap to buy the engine and gearbox at the same time, then it was like there was, I can't remember whether it was 120 or 130,000, something like that. Both Tokumbo, fully used. So he mounted the engine, removed the old one, and mounted both complete engine and gearbox, and used the car with those newly purchased engine and transmission for probably 2 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. No problem, nothing. So on his way, he was traveling with the car, and the auxiliary belt shredded, enter inside the timing chamber, and cut, damage the valves. Of course, the timing jumped, so it damaged the cylinder valves. So to eventually he ended up changing the engine. So this time I'm making it two engines. So he changed the engine again because he made an attempt to rebuild it, and just that issue ended up damaging the engine for good. Was just blowing smoke. Eventually he ended up changing the engine. So he used that second engine. I'm not sure whether it was up to a year or probably a year or so. The engine started burning oil, smoking, and I know this is the person I know that maintains car very well. Was using the correct oil, started blowing, smoking. Like I said, it was like most likely like few months after the change of the second engine, he started smoking. Um, he tried to manage, use the car, eventually it was that bad. He had to even downgrade to a thicker oil. Still, it was burning oil that rapidly. So he decided to get rid of the engine again. The third one. Now, bought another engine, uh, swapping. Now, now use the third engine now for, I don't know, probably months or less than a year or a little bit over a year. I can't remember exactly. But I know all this thing happened within a span of 5 years or less or thereabout. The third engine again started smoking. The third one, it was like even probably like worse than the previous two. I mean, I remember one day I was with him. He was like, "What's the solution to this?" I said, "I mean, I don't know. It's cylinders." It was like he swore that he would never change the engine again. He would rather, he didn't actually say exactly, but the last thing we would do again is to change that engine. That wasn't a matter of whether he could afford to change it or not. So that was the end, and eventually the car was discarded. Yeah, I could tell it was very frustrating. So another story. So this person bought his 307, the customer bought his 307 with DW10 J4 engine. Um, it's a long story, but something happened that led to the cylinder head on his way to Abuja with the car from the person was staying in Abuja. The cylinder head started making cracking noise. So we got the car, and so we discussed two options: repair the cylinder head, which might not solve the problem, or replace the cylinder head, or replace the engine. So we ended up at the end saying, okay, let's replace the engine. bought another used foreign engine of EW10 J4 2.0 liter engine, mounted it, started the engine. Everything worked well. Used the recommended oil, which was, I think it was 10W40, total 10W40. His engine ran well. The first day we started it, I drove the car, took it out, did the test drive. Everything was working. Brought the engine back, brought vehicle back to the workshop because there are other works that I also need to do. I think we did the suspension work, and but we started with the engine first, since it was the major repair to be done before the other minor ones. So left the car at the workshop. 2 days later, by the time we done with other ones and now started the engine, left it to run. After some minutes, the engine started making grinding sound, as in knocking sound, not just grinding. It was making knocking sound, and this time it was not coming from the cylinder head. Remember, we bought a complete engine, so the old engine was kept aside with the cylinder head. So another used engine, fully used engine, was making sound from the bottom part of the engine, from the block, making knocking sound. So 2 days. The car has not even apart from the first test drive, which I did myself. The car hasn't even left the workshop. Started making noise. So in other words, the engine was bad. Due to the relationship I have with people I buy parts from, so we returned the engine and had to put back the old one. Now change the cylinder head. The reason why I'm saying this is, there's this thing in Nigeria that everybody believes once the engine is weak, the right way to deal with that problem is to replace the engine. It wasn't the norm before. Nobody was replacing his vehicle or our vehicle's engine when they become weak. No matter how bad, people were not changing their engines. Yeah, you could actually rebuild an engine completely without even having the old parts or old part of an engine stay inside the engine bay. But you won't go and buy a complete new engine. We change the block, change this one, change this one, change this one. But in other words, maybe one or two other parts on the old engine will still be there. So it's still considered as if it's the old engine, but you didn't buy a complete engine. You could still say it's a different engine. But people are rebuilding engines. So used engine, just because was used outside Nigeria, does not mean it must be in good condition or better than the one you just removed that was weak. People even in the Europe, North America or wherever, also do abuse vehicles. They abuse their cars. Not everyone cares about what goes into their engine or how to maintain cars properly. They just keep driving until something pops up, an issue comes up. That's when they remember when to change oil, how to drive a car or start an engine or accelerate when engine is still cold and the rest. So yeah, fortunately for Peugeot cars, you can't tell a mileage of a used engine. We cannot. For other brand, probably you Peugeot no, because you don't have VIN on them, so you can't even say let's go and check with the VIN online to see the last mileage the engine was used before shipped to Nigeria. You cannot. So what I would suggest, if that I've been saying that, is there are ways you can actually prevent this engines from total breakdown, so that there won't be need for replacement. Then now let's assume your engine starts to burn oil. For example, it's possible that your oil is shorting rapidly, but there's no oil leak sign on the engine. So you will assume that yes, your engine has started to consume oil. So in that case, you can actually do a minor engine rebuild and still get it in good condition, as in without any need to replace the engine, and spend much less compared to changing engine. For example, the car, but like probably not smoking that badly, that bluish smoke or whitish smoke, but then you notice that it's consuming oil more than it should ever since you own the car. It has started consuming. What I would recommend you do, that first stage is remove the cylinder head. Then check the cylinder walls. Or yeah, of course, unfortunately, this model engines, Peugeot cars, which was a very stupid idea. In fact, honestly, they don't have sleeves anymore. What we call piston liners. That sleeve, just regard it as sleeve, where you can remove. Like those of us that sit by 504, 505, that's the advantage you have. You can remove the piston, the sleeve, put another one, and change the bearing, crankshaft bearing, or you can even change the crankshaft. New ones are available, and the engine will become basically like new engine. Change the toss washer and the rest. You know, I mean, few things you could change, and you see as if you are running a brand new engine with the same old block. So, but this case here, you could remove the cylinder head, touch if there is no a slim wear on the cylinder wall where the piston passes. You know, um, that bore, if it hasn't eaten deep or it's still normal, there's no gap. All you need to do, if I were you, first thing you do, change the valve stem seal first. Change only the valve stem seals, which will be on the cylinder head, mount it back. See if there's any change. It won't be an expensive job. See, valve stem seals are very cheap. Change all of them, at least good quality one. Then if the oil consumption continues, or still observe, most times that will take care of it. But if you notice that it's still there, then what you now do, the next step to take is remove the cylinder head. You could most likely drop the engine in this case. Remove the cylinder head. In that case, you don't need to touch your valve stem seals anymore. Remove the cylinder head, remove your oil pan, remove the pistons, pull out the pistons. You have to release the cowl rod. Remove the pistons, change the rings, then inspect the pistons. Most times the piston might still be okay. If there is, what I mean is that those three gaps where you put the rings and the backing, if they've not widened, usually they don't. If the cylinder wall is still okay, they hardly get that bad there, because at that time the wear is when the most time is when the rings now wear badly, to the point that is now pasting, that is now touching and running through the cylinder wall or the piston liners or sleeve. In that way, the piston will just be dangling. As it's dangling, the little whatever rings that are remaining there will just be, hitting and creating gap on those three holes. You see three, call it gap holes for the rings. So if there's a clearance there, then you have to change the piston. So depending on how much you're willing to spend, but you need to check it to be sure. But most time it may end up being only the rings. Then, in the process, before you put back the piston back, check the bearings on the cowl rod, crankshaft bearing. So look at all that. If there's sign of wear, change them. They are not actually expensive parts. Buy new ones, good quality new ones. Put them. You'll be surprised. I mean, you could drive the car for years, thousands or hundreds of thousands of kilometers, depending on how you observe the engine braking, and you have issue. you know um but the only place where you may now spend so much, or you may start considering whether to change engine, like if it gets to a point, as we are using the engine now, it starts showing oil pressure issue, as the engine is smoking. In that case, well, aside that the cylinder head can cause that too, if the camshaft on the cylinder head, depending on engine model, after SN engine, almost all the Peugeot almost all the Peugeot engines now have the camshaft on that overhead camshaft, but the SM engine in the 504 or even C engine, those ones they have the camshaft on the block, not on the cylinder head. So yeah, they can cause the oil pressure issue. The oil pump could cause it. The crankshaft bearing can cause it. The crankshaft itself can also cause it. So in that case, you have to now spend more. You have to replace a lot. But you may get a point you probably will be looking at, is it not better to buy another engine? I mean, because you could change only the oil pump. It might not actually be the cost. Could be that your oil pump is working. The ideal thing, in fact, once you strip your engine, you're supposed to change your oil pump each time you are doing that kind of repair. Buy a brand new pump and put. From my observation, this depending on engine model, their oil pump hardly give up that easily, you know. But like I said, that's a day thing once you are doing engine rebuild. But if it's just because your oil is the engine is shorting oil a little, burning oil a little, no weird sound on the engine is not making any cranky sound or something, just that it's shorting oil. The power kind of stay there. I don't think there's need to start spending that huge amount doing a major repair or engine rebuild yet. Change the rings, look at the bearings. If they are not, if they don't look okay, change them. You know. So if it gets to what, by my point, once it becomes noisy, engine becomes noisy. In that case, it's not just about the bearings, the rings anymore, or the pieces anymore. You have now probably looking at major repair. You know. Pump, crankshaft, bearings, cylinder head, camshafts. I mean, you may even end up changing your cylinder head. As I say, in most cases, it may even make sense to buy another one. Likewise, if the cylinder wall has eaten deep very badly, and even if there's no other issue with the engine, changing only the rings might not really solve the problem. But something I observed that sometimes I was wondering if that is always the case. So there was this 607 with EW10J4 engine, 2.0 liter engine that a mechanic did a engine rebuild on, minor one. You know, so what they did was they removed the cylinder head, bought the rings, used the same piston, put the new rings. But when the cylinder head was out, with the pistons out, so I now looked at the engine block, you know, those cylinder walls, and I could see they've eaten it deep, as in the one, the side where the piston travels. So I put my hand on almost 4 of them. I mean, I could feel the gap. It has gone, I can't say really deep inside, but I could see the gap was there, very, very pronounced. But the ring they used wasn't like what's it called? Oversized rings. They used normal rings for that engine. Put it, the smoke went away. You know, I was like, okay, maybe give it a time, it might come back. I think it was like 1 year later. So I was at the workshop. The owner of the car, 607 E10, came in to do service, normal service, change it. So when they finished the service, as they were driving out, I was looking at the time, no smoke. Because even when they started the car after changing the oil, okay, no smoke, but I said, okay, it wasn't accelerated. But as the man was driving, you know, it was a manual transmission. So to reverse, he needed to press the throttle a little to move, put the car in motion forward, you know, to also accelerate the car a little. So no smoke. So I was like, So even when the cylinder walls have been affected, can actually change only the rings and still will not the pistons or rings won't fail or wear out rapidly. Even after I was the only car the man twist I know was always using. So I don't know how long this thing happened like 2 3 years ago. I don't know if the engine will still be in the same condition, if the rings have failed, you know. So but to me, considering how much he spent in doing that, if he has served in like 2 years before the rings wear out, it's a big win to me. I mean, you change only the rings, then put gasket. What else? I'm not even sure he changed his what's it called? Uh, Valve stem cells, which if I were the one doing the job or supervising the work, I would insist you change that valve stem cells. So that's the point. Um, so it's neither there or there. But with what I've explained, I will recommend catch it on time. Don't wait till your engine become terribly bad before you start considering to do the rebuild or do the replacement. Because if you catch it on time, you notice that each engine sounds very well, the power is there to a very large extent or to some extent, but you notice oil consumption. Do what I just recommended. Remove the cylinder, look at this thing, change the valve stem cells. If it continues, then deal with the rings and then inspect your pistons and also inspect the bearings, the crankshaft, the convert to be sure they are in good condition or any needs to be replaced. Even with the one showing oil pressure issue, you might end up changing the the bearings, the oil pump, and the one will go away, you know. But it might not go. That's my point. Let's assume the issue is actually from the cylinder head, that is the camshaft and the rest. It won't solve the problem. So I personally will always recommend no need to waste that money. The used engine you are buying, you could say it's a matter of luck as far as Peugeot engine is concerned. Is the appearance doesn't necessarily mean that the engine was used or was not abused by the previous owner. We'll see an engine that looks very new. Most cases, yeah, it will be that maybe the car was used a few kilometers and they had an accident, the engine was in condition, so the car was scrapped and the engine was now shipped to Nigeria. Yeah, it could be that lucky. You know. Could also be lucky that engine that has done over 200,000 kilometers, the car was scrapped and shipped and you purchased it and it still run like it's as if the car was just 10,000 kilometers old because the previous owner maintained it well. However, I also know there are people that even here in Nigeria or probably over there as well that will buy a car, start engine, every time engine is cold, they start it and start revving engine to high RPM when the oil is still thick or cold. And then even people, when they rebuild their engine, change the rings or change this thing, they don't observe this engine braking. They start the car and take it as soon as they enter road, they start hitting the tachometer to the red zone, start pressing their throttle without observing the engine braking rule. Supposed to keep the RPM much lower for the next 500 to even me. I prefer apply it till it gets to 1,500 kilometers or at least minimum 1,000 kilometers, not even 500 kilometers. I'll push it, I'll get it to 1,005. But driving it inside the city, don't drive it or travel with the vehicle. Don't keep the RPM more, at least minimum of 3,000 or maximum of 3,000. Don't get it over 3,000 no matter what. Don't speed that car at that time until you cover at least 1,000 or 1,500 kilometers. Once you do any form of engine rebuild, you're supposed to do that. Otherwise, your rings or your pistons, they won't bed in properly. So they wear out rapidly and everything, all the work you done will be useless. Those are things that also make this engine not last. When people change the rings, the next day they start complaining that it didn't last. It was how it was used after such rebuild, because these things were not observed. I'm not saying that original rings, the low quality rings will serve. No. I'm saying sometimes it's not even about the quality of the rings. It's about not knowing how to use such engines after such repair done on them that makes these rings to wear prematurely or rapidly after they are being fixed. So There are cases where there are no, it might make sense to buy another engine, but you remember the risk involved. I told you guys. The other persons that did purchase engine. The other people I know, I don't need to start telling such stories. I just told you the ones that at least you get the idea. You could buy a used engine, start it the first day, everything is okay. It doesn't mean there was no harm done on that engine that will that will not manifest sooner than you expect. Because if you are not the first person that uses it brand new, there's no guarantee. You don't know anything. If it serve you for 100,000, 500,000 kilometers when you purchase a car used without no issue, call it you are lucky. That the previous owner maintained the car well, didn't abuse it. That's all. Because people do abuse their cars. It doesn't matter the country they live in. So those of us again that buy 504, that's the advantage you have. You can change engine what all the parts you want are available new. Most of them that normally wear out. You don't even need to wait for the engine to become that bad before you do those kind of repairs. Once they start blowing out the smoke, all you need is remove piston, remove rings, remove sleeve, buy new one, set, mount, check the crankshaft, change the bearings, anywhere there are new ones available, you buy mount. Yeah, you might say they are not the original one, but if it can serve you for close to 100,000 kilometers or some years before they wear out and start to give issues again, hey, it's something better than buying used one you don't know much about. You could buy a used one and it will serve you even longer than a rebuilt engine. Like what I'm saying is it's all risk. It's all risk. So which one are you willing to buy a used one? It might serve you. I know a lot of people that purchase and they serve them. I also know someone that buys 607 with EW12J4 engine. I'm not telling you this one. Most people watching this video might even know that are close to me. Someone I know that drives EW12J4 engine is 607 Z8. He has replaced engine like 4 or 5 times now within a span of how many years I've known the car or the owner. Or let's just say I've known the car. I'm talking about if not 4 or 5. I can't remember the exact figure. Keep changing the over, not buying used Nigerian used, foreign used, high price, Tokumbo, what we call Tokumbo. Within a space of few months, 1 year or thereabout, engine will start either it start smoking or start giving oil pressure warning issue or something close to that. In fact, the engine now is being the owner has decided to change the engine again. As I'm talking to you now, the vehicle is being that's what is going on right now. So you could buy. I'm not saying don't buy, don't rebuild. I'm just giving you these are the options. These are the risks involved, so you can make your choice. If it was my own vehicle, I would do the rebuild. Like I said, once I notice oil consumption or it started smoking a little, I'll first deal with the valve stem cells. If I look at the pieces, the cylinder wall, it shows there's a sign of maybe I'll remove and change the rings. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. People will always still argue, but those of us, the technicians who are actually doing this over and over for people, we see things. Sometimes we keep some of us keep it to ourselves because you don't want to. It will affect your market because most people prefer changing engine because it makes quicker money. Spend less time doing the work than doing the rebuild, and also understand not everybody know how to rebuild engine, do all these kind of repairs. So it could also be a bad day if you give a wrong person to rebuild your engine, change your rings or whatever, or do a total rebuild. It will be a waste of resources because you won't get anything out of it. You now probably will say, "Oh, if I know, I would have gone for engine replacement." But then, like I said, there are people that also did that, and even the first or second day, the engine packed up. And probably they didn't recover their money or they had to. Same thing happened to 1206. Same thing. 1 week later, the engine started making one sound, started smoking. I remember the mechanic that did that had to even go and meet the buyer, started pleading because the warranty has passed, which was 7 days. About I think okay, it lasted a month. I think it lasted a month. The engine became cranky, making noise, burning oil. I think they even removed the cylinder. No, I don't think they removed the cylinder. You know, they had to go and buy. Eventually, they ended up spending another additional money. But changing the engine is not always the solution to your problem. That's what I'm saying. But the most important thing you take away from here, try and protect what you have. You see that your engine you have that is still in good condition, do everything in your power to keep it in that condition as long as possible. I'm not saying it won't fail, it will. Or I'm not saying fail, it will wear out over time, no matter what you do. You will still wear out. But try and delay it by maintaining it properly, following instructions as recommended. Do everything in your power. Not say go and break the law, but I say everything in your power that you can. Because the next engine you think that can easily, yeah, I can afford it, I can just buy another engine. What makes you think that one you're putting might not be worse than the one you're moving? Keep going for, or you might remember the person that bought a 407 V6 and ended up changing the engine because the transmission failed and the engine was cheap. The first engine he put served for long, don't issue with that engine until the auxiliary bed now damaged the engine. So had it been that one, the auxiliary bed didn't do that, that engine probably would have lasted even up till now with no issues. But the subsequent two he now put, none of them could even last a few months before they started blowing smoke and so that's the thing. So buying used engine is not always the solution. Rebuilding it might not also be always the permanent solution. But at least you know what you're getting yourself involved in. And you can actually stop it from when it's still in the early stages, when the oil consumption starts very early. There's a way you can do that. I did it on a 407, commended to the client. EW10A, I bought it for the person. About a year or two later, it started smoking. So I bought it, EW10A 407 automatic. I said, you know what? Let's start with the valve stem cells. You remove the cylinder, I changed the valve stem cells, mounted it back, boom, the smoke went away. I think it's up to that. This happened like 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Should be three or so. Or 4 years now. I can't remember exactly. But right now it's more than 2 years. That I can assure you. The person has not called to complain unless he has sold the vehicle. I know 2 years later, I still worked on the car. No smoke, nothing, no oil consumption. By changing oil, the valve stem cells. People don't like doing that because they tell, don't waste your money. If you rebuild your engine, it won't last. This is how person did it. This is how person did it. Hey, not yourself, it's your car. I just tell you what I would do if it was my engine. I'm not saying it might be a better option for you. But at least you should understand. If your engine becomes very weak, even if you bring it to me, I could just recommend you change it. At that point, it's pointless. It becomes that cranky, noisy, so many things. No, it's pointless. Because the cost of not doing the overhaul rebuild will be way much higher than buy another engine that is in good condition or better condition. So hope this helps.